Welcome back to the Morning Show here on the Rise News. I am Adesua Omorwan.
And I'm Rufai Hussein. It's great to be here once again, Adesua.
Indeed. Well, after the death of Funke Olakari, daughter of the leader of Pan-Yoruba Social Cultural Organization, Afenifere, Pa Ruben Fashoranti, the federal government of Nigeria says it will explore all options, including deploying soldiers on the highways towards addressing the insecurity menace on the highways.
Following a death by suspected, and big suspected word there because of the raging controversy on this, suspected headsmen on Friday, the presidency has directed that security should be beefed up nationwide with immediate effect, with the upper chamber calling for a national security summit in order to curb the ugly trend of insecurity that has continuously claimed the lives of many Nigerians.
And to do justice to this new development, Roy Okhidievbie, a security expert, now joins us on the topic Nigerian soldiers' deployment to highways. But first, let's see this report.
There seems to be no end to the endless calls on security agencies and the Nigerian government to curb the incessant killings, banditry and kidnapping currently ravaging the country. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo thinks the current administration is treating the nation's security issues with kid gloves. Some lawmakers now demand action from President Muhammadu Buhari.
Only last week, we discussed here the issue of the Continental Free Trade Agreement, and all to my surprise, Ghana has now been made to be the headquarters of this Continental Free Trade Agreement headquarters. This is a major loss for this country, Mr. President. Economically, it has major impact, and these are the implications that happens when you don't get your security situation right. It has major economic impact for this country. And we cannot watch every day, coming here, mourning, grieving, having 1 minute of silence, as innocent Nigerians are being killed and no action is being taken. There's a feeling of hopelessness, helplessness, that one is feeling that nothing we do here has effect.
I will call on the federal government, I will call on the Senate, I will call on all the security agencies to come together, aggregate all the resources and all the resolutions that have been taken before now to see how they can come up with a holistic approach that will solve this problem.
Well, there you have it. Retired military personnel Okhidievbie is now in the studio with us, the security experts, and you were just telling us you're half Edo, half Fulani. Thank you so much for joining the show this morning. So you have been following the development in the security situation or insecurity that we've been experiencing. A lot of people have died, not just Mrs. Fashoranti or Mrs. Olakari on the highway. And we've had harrowing stories of, this happening, recurring actually. But at that condolence visit, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, says the federal government will now explore all options, including deploying soldiers to the highways. How did that come to you? What do you make of that?
Well, so many comments by the government have been coming to us, and before we finish making out anything from one comment, another comment is coming from another senior government official. And it became very obvious that one of the things we don't respect in our political plans is time. Timing has been abused periodically over time, and it has cost us a lot. And it's something you can't get back. So to be able to address insecurity, you must be a good time manager, and you must apply actions and strategies into structures, and you must maintain and keep them consistent. Now, where we have failed is keeping it consistent and applying it at the right time. Now, the structures that we have also, we are not deploying them to appropriate incidences. Okay. If we started talking like, okay, let me give my input on this particular deployment of soldiers to the last very important one of a year, okay? Because I think in January, February, I was in the US. Okay, so when you look at that, we now look at a situation where the only option not to use the military was to enhance and empower and reposition the police. So what does it take? okay, well, my time in the military will do like 6 months in the army depot if you are a soldier. You do like 5 years in the defense academy if you are, okay. So if you do like 6 months to train police sets, and you have like 3 training schools in the north, in the south, and in the west or in the east, and you churn out 2 sets in a year, even if it's 200, you don't know what number you would have created right now. Okay, there are graduates taking jobs of 40,000 naira in their own God's own country. So if you want to give options for a better police structure, you will see graduates coming in there. The other time when there was this Dangote recruitment for drivers, well, PhD holders coming out to take it because maybe they put in some structures, health and all that. So we are wrongly timing our incursion into preventive measures. And preventive measures are strategic. They are proactive. So if right now a reasonable man in the society, he is one of my colleagues also, the husband to the woman, and we are all bereaved right now in the Association of Licensed Private Security Practitioners. And we lost somebody so valuable like this, who has contributed so much to what the husband and the dad has achieved in life. Then you will now come and say, we are deploying military men. From where? Let me tell you, the military itself is currently facing very strong challenges to hold itself together because its deployments have been running into areas that it does not carry its initial training patterns.
So it's overstretched.
So if you want to say you are deploying these guys, have you recalled the Operation Python dance and all that we did when we deployed military people to the roads? What did they achieve? Have you gone to the south, like Port Harcourt, River State, where you will see some stretch of road? There's checkpoint after checkpoint. A checkpoint is seeing another checkpoint. Okay, and there are repeated kidnappings on those routes.
I want to come in here. I said some things clear. The military, the reason why the military has been deployed, why is the go-to, is because it looks as though it's the only respected force in this country. And I'll give you instances. I was in Warri when the crisis happened in Warri. The military brought normalcy back to Warri and environs. They had an occupation for there for a couple of years, but afterwards, peace and stability has returned to Warri and normalcy. Warri used to be a hotbed for crisis before. But the question is, why can't we train a unit like the mobile police officers, for that matter? I mean, because the mobile police officers, correct me if I'm wrong, are supposed to be the Nigerian SWAT team. High level, advanced, hence the training in Goza Hills and things like that, more rigorous training. Why can't we beef up this thing? Why does everything have to be the military? Because it looks like a militarization of Nigeria happening.
I will take your response from the Warri situation, okay? I'm from Edo State also. And I served also in the riverine areas. I'm an amphibious trained soldier, water to land attack. Okay, Warri is in peace per se. You can put that in quote and unquote. In peace per se, not because of the military, sir. It's because of the body language of the people, the inter-ethnic understanding of their rivalry and coming to conclusions and peace treaties being run amongst themselves. Okay, I have been there. The oil and gas facilities, they dole out monies to quell issues also. They settle communities, they settle youths, and all of that. There is a very big structure that you cannot really put your hand to that creates problems and causes peace.
I'm talking about the Ijaw-Ishekiri conflict.
Okay, so if you use the military to quell, and you continue to use the military to quell, you are going to have a big problem, like you are having in the Northeast. Now, if you use the military and you are not deploying the military as a military strategy, you are weakening the police. You are making the DSS look stupid. You are making the other security agencies, the NSCDC have been upgraded. They have been given arms. Yeah. And they have been allowed to hold ground for government fiscal infrastructures, and they have been allowed to come in to protect on certain areas of civility. And there are other agencies too that are also requesting to be involved in the architecture, like the Nigerian Legion, retired military personnel have been called back to support the structure. So why must you go for the military? Let me tell you something, sir. The military is coming in to intervene It is to root out when the incursion or the insurgents have held ground. If you have not held ground, hoisted flag, worn uniforms, and taken hold of communities, it's not time for the military. And this time that we are speaking about, it's not so long for you to build a community that could peak out when a cell starts to grow. Okay, if you deploy the military to highways, sir, what's happening in the forest? Have you thought about having forest rangers? Have you talked about technology? The greatest weapon that the military has is personnel. And the strongest weapon that the military has is technology. Both of them are being abused right now because they don't coordinate. If you want to use personnel, it is after technology has given you full assurance that you can deploy personnel and get them back alive. Now we are deploying personnel and they die in service. And the ones that are working in uniform have started to hijack monies that they are sent to carry.
And that brings
because
me
of
to my
the
next
weakness.
question. You mentioned technology because you rightly mentioned earlier, we have different operations ongoing by the military, by the police, Pofhada, Operation Kunami, and all of them ongoing. But this insecurity doesn't seem to be abating. And that brings me to the question of intelligence, gathering, and technology. How are we faring in those aspects?
You see, once you could have a consistent application of intelligence and technology, you will not be deploying military now. You would quickly be using the military now to strengthen the barracks back. Because we just had some series of even ISIS declaring that they are striking in Nigeria. And ISIS is being building itself strong in Nigeria and West Africa. We just saw that the terrorists has just abated a little after successes of hitting military barracks. We are now sending military to go and be pursuing kidnappers when we don't even know the next strike of terrorism, international and global threats of terrorism. We have now been diverted our attention. If we are using technology and intelligence, we should immediately use the military right now to foresee and forecast a major terrorist strike that will nearly, if not break this country, because when they are so quiet for a while like this, after successes, they have thrown their capabilities. They have run over military holds, and soldiers have died. They have destroyed the system. Okay. Now, excuse me, if you now see a quiet situation like this for terrorist attack, this kidnapping, you will assume immediately it's a distraction. And you will put the right agencies to go after them. This is the time to put equipment in place in the military. This is the time to use your intelligence to block loopholes of funding or terrorist cells forming groups, generating intelligence of attack lines, attack coordinates, and quickly have your men having their focus strong. Then begin to do power play. This is the time the military is supposed to be doing some demonstrations within the enclave of possible threat zones of terrorism possibilities. Okay, then leave kidnapping for some of these other agencies to begin to handle.
Okay. I'll come in here by saying, is this the same military that the commander-in-chief of the military, as it were, I mean, the head of the military, Burutai, did say that the troops are not motivated and they are running contrary to the defense of their country? Is this the military we want to deploy? You answer that when we come back from this quick commercial break. We're still talking to our security expert here. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Great to have you back. You're still watching the Morning Show here on the Rise News, and we still have with us discussing the insecurity situation in the country, security expert with us. Thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you.
Rufai, I had a question before that break.
So I had a question. I said, is this the same military that Lieutenant General Burutai said was decimated? I mean, not decimated now.
Was refusing to take instructions.
Was refusing to fight for the country. That looks some sort of compromise. And it's not today we've been hearing that refrain in the military. I mean, we all remember that account a couple of years back as regards insurgency that they said, oh, they didn't take instruction from their commanders. So is this the same military? Because when you say the police can't be used because of indiscipline, this same military was told, a couple of military officers were told to guard some money to take it to a particular destination. They took the money, they fled, and they put the other person at harm's risk. So is this the same military?
Okay, I like you for what you are saying. You see, this is the direction that the whole society is in assumption. The military is not the army, sir. The military is a body of armed personnel that involves the Navy, the Air Force, and the Army. That is what we call the military. Now, if you look at what the statement of the Chief of Army Staff was, that statement, he is even attacking the statement right now. He's trying to put it in his right perspective. So let us even don't go there for now, because we don't have his right perspective.
No, but we can go there because there are troops that are fighting.
No, I said for now. We have to explain something that made him say so.
There are troops that are fighting in the trenches in Maiduguri, in Bama, in Potoskum, in other areas of the Northeast, and they heard that statement.
And I heard it. I'm also a retired military man, okay? So before he made that statement, okay, you have your own observations of what is weakening the military, which you have profiled, and which are true. I still have colleagues that are serving, that are in all these distress areas as we speak, and they are facing so much of these challenges as we speak. Now, if you look at the military itself, getting to the position where such a statement is made, are you going to blame the military caucus? Are you going to blame the government, or are you going to blame the people? The blames will continue. Tomorrow as we leave here, you have another breaking news. People are dying. So most times when I try to do a review, I try to look at what is making the pillars to be weak. If I put a new pillar before I can break the old one and put a fresh one there, if you break an old pillar, the structure changes shape. So if we are looking at Buratai and his activities and his response to his activities, then you begin to think, what are his concerns? The inability of governance to be run as its status quo. That is where we are right now. The criminal justice system, if you put police and soldiers on the road, sir, and they are able to grab all the kidnappers, the same kidnappers will tell you they are waiting for Evans' case to go through before you finish with their own. By the time we were doing all these games with Evans matters, I was telling people on air, on all stations, that we are making this thing a profession. $1 million from kidnapping, and he took it from his own kinsmen. So this last one in Dorada, the royal father was taking, the people are just from Kano and thereabout. So everybody's taking their own person now, and it's in millions of dollars. So it's becoming a tradition and a culture. Then involving the military, you are exposing them to undue opportunities of the same civilians they die for that abuse the law. The same law you want to use to rope him. Though we have the court-martial and the executive decision in the army, but now we have the World Human Rights Body coming in to say these soldiers should not be dismissed. And you are still exposing them to some of these activities that should ordinarily be run by the police. If the police is not given the opportunity to fail and try and fail and try, they cannot get it right because they have had years of depreciation. This new IG has the right body language. His right body language should be allowed to permeate the very different tables in his direction so that his effective control will begin to show. If you begin to enforce, then you do it joint patrol. When I was still young in the army, we do joint patrol with the police.
Where there are constant fights between the military and the police? Where there are constant fights and free for all?
Excuse me.
Between the military and the police?
When we had joint patrol, there must be friction amongst people, sir. You can't take friction and fracas away from people, even husbands and wives, even children, siblings of the same bloodline. They still fight. So you must put in guidelines for penalties when they do. These are the repercussions. So you use that to control it. You control meetings with the hierarchy of the police and the military, and they rub minds more and begin to interwove and interplan. That will help the police to be strengthened, not sole operations in their land. Anytime the Army, Navy, or the Air Force is going into support for the police, let them be part of it. Let them see what is going on. The police has marine police. They should work closely
Then why
with
are
the
we not using
Navy.
them?
Excuse me, they have coppers, they have policemen that fly helicopters. When the Air Force want to work within police territory for inter-ethnic problems, the police should be involved with them. It will build their confidence. If they have fracas, then they should solve it. It must come. But when they work together for police issues, it will help them strengthen, and it will focus them, and it will give the civilians more opportunities to see the capabilities of the police. Because in some instances, the policemen may show more bravery than even the armed forces personnel that might be there, because they have more at home when they are in the civilian enclave.
Okay,
so I beg to say that whatever the Chief of Army Staff have said, it's just what is happening, okay? He is having his own challenges of putting the house together.
So you've said any attempt to deploy the soldiers to the highway is a wrong move. But the Senate yesterday also moved that perhaps we should have a robust security summit, that we are due for one, and that might just tackle the insecurity we're having. Do you subscribe to that? And I mean, we understand this many challenges, but what is the way forward?
For a security summit, I don't have anything to say about the security summit. What I have to say when I hear summit is, was there a summit like this before?
Yes, there was.
Okay, so what was the takeaway from that summit? And what was the timeline to make it implemented for that summit? And if it was not done, whose head was supposed to roll? Because there was taxpayers' money invested in all of this. So where is accountability? Where are the people from the central bank that track movement of monies released? Where are the people from the federal executives that should monitor disbursement and results? I run companies, even as a retired soldier. If I'm deploying finance for fueling, I should be able to see commensurate returns from the fueling I'm disbursing. So if we are not accountable to the taxpayers' money, which we collect, and we close down their business if they don't pay tax, and we spend it without expecting results, that is an irresponsible government. So if they are calling for a summit, the first question in that summit or every other meeting is to review minutes of last meeting and to look at timelines and appointed responsibilities, who did not do what they are supposed to do, and what penalties were applied or was supposed to be applied, who is supposed to apply the penalties. So if you want to do another summit, let me hear the budget. If it's bigger than the former one, is it going to solve a bigger problem? And what were the results of the former summit that we had? Those are the things that are supposed to be propping up. I expect you, the media, to begin to throw out whatever summit have been had now in purview of this summit that is going to come up, and say, are we still dealing with this that have not been treated? So if you are releasing money for the summit, please, let's know what you did with the last one.
So what is the way forward?
Okay.
Summit, no. Deploying the soldiers on the highway, no. What is the way forward? Because people are dying on the highways. I mean, just a mental picture of how Mrs. Olakun was said to have been killed is so painful. You're someone you don't know, you come up to the highway and you spray bullets. And she's not the only one. We have people dying that way. So what's the way forward?
Thank you very much. You see, I've already said this. If we respect life in this country, the first thing to do is make it sacred. If you go to India, you can't kill a cow or maybe some animals they make sacred. If you go to some places in Nigeria, you can't kill a tortoise or a snake. There are animals that are sacred. They pass by the town, people wait. That is how a life is. Okay? I just went, I told you I just came by, I went for a trip and I want to cross the road and everybody just stopped their car. And I was like even thanking them, and they were thanking me for thanking them and all that. Because life is what? Sacred. Now, the first thing to do in Nigeria is make life sacred. Once a life is lost, every other person related to it must be seen to have been arrested, and the criminal justice system takes its full course. Full course. Even if you are my cousin and I'm a governor, I will sit in the courts. And after the case and you are being taken to Kirikiri, I will buy the microphone of all the journalists to give the right body language. I'll tell you, I'm sorry, I didn't know you would be involved in something like this. I hope when you serve your term and you come out, you will be a better person. Okay? then I will also ensure that I go on air again and say it's unfortunate that my cousin was the one that was killing people in the university. The judges have sentenced him, and I'm sorry that any other young man that is like that should desist from it. Look, cultism, we have renouncers quickly, because all other people related to a governor and all that will say, this governor is showing a wrong. So we need the right body. Once you see the right body language, kidnapping can stop in a day.
I hear leadership.
That is
there.
one. The second thing is we must identify persons. You see these Okada men that you have, quickly put them under a police station to go and register themselves or don't run bikes. You understand me? Then if you find a police station or a DPO, like what the IG is doing, sack that person immediately. Don't consider. Don't say because this man's salary is poor. Right now, if the body language is right, if your salary is poor, you'll be thinking of other businesses.
But I just want to quickly comment, because we're leaving in about 60 seconds or thereabout. How do you show to the world that life is sacred in a country where the Attorney General and Minister of Justice of the Federation was killed, and we have not found the killer still today?
The best way to show to the world that the lives are sacred is to make people pay that take life. That is the only way. Anything you want to do is wrong. Because if you don't make it timely, I started with timing. If it's not timely, a case cannot run when somebody was found with a gun, with the murder weapon, and he has accepted that he committed the offense.
I'd like to say a big thank you. One thing is certain, definitely, sir. We'd like to have you here again.
You have more time.
We will have more time for you. I'd like to say a very big thank you
Thank you.